Monday, Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa. My name is Wally Scott. Welcome on the show. Too many things happened over the weekend. Some surprises, some were expected wins. But we'll start with some good news coming home. Super Eagles players are expected to start arriving camp in Tangier, Morocco, on Monday, that's today, for the 2022 World Cup qualifiers against Liberia. Now, both teams play on Saturday on match day 4 of the World Cup qualifiers. Liberia play their home games in Morocco after their stadiums couldn't meet the Confederation of African Football's requirements for the qualifiers. Now, with most of the Eagles players' clubs involved in league matches on Sunday, only a handful of them are expected on the first day of camping. Among the players expected to hit camp early is Saudi Arabia-based Odion Igalo, who makes a return to the team after 2 years out. And CSKA Moscow winger Chidera Ejuke, who played in his side's 4-1 loss to PFC Sochi in the Russian league on Saturday. SC Paderborn's Jamilu Collins, Offenheim's Kevin Akpogba, Sparta Rotterdam's Maduka Okoye, Kaizer Chiefs' Daniel Akpeyi, Leganes defender Kenneth Omero are also among the players coach Gernot Rohr hopes to have in camp early. UK-based Frank Onyeka, Leon Balogun, William Troost Ekong, Joe Aribo, Wilfred Indidi, Alexi Wobi and Kelechi Iheanacho are expected to fly into Morocco together alongside Torino's Olaino. All other players are also expected in camp latest Tuesday evening for Nigeria's last 2 World Cup qualifiers. The Eagles play Liberia at the Grand Stade de Tangier, Morocco on Saturday before hosting Cape Verde 3 days later at the Testing Balogun Stadium, Lagos, in the final group match of the qualifiers. Nigeria lead Group C with 9 points, 2 ahead of second-placed Cape Verde. Group winners will advance to the last qualification stage, where the 10 teams will play each other in a 2-legged tie. The 5 winners then qualify for the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. Well, some good news, but what would surprise a little part of people is the sense that despite Nigerians shouting, talking, complaining, Odion Igalo is still back in the team. I use the word back from the dead, but the spokesperson of the NFA on this show on Friday said that maybe the coach needs some experience. I thought Ahmed Musa was plenty experienced, but maybe obviously needs more. He feels he needs a leader figure in the team.
Well, the truth is, in this modern football era, you need more than one leader in the dressing room. You need more than one leader on the field of play at any given time. And sometimes it's impressive and important to have a leader who plays from the top. Historically, a lot of captains have been defenders, midfielders, and sometimes even goalkeepers. Rarely, but sometimes. But leading from the front as the striker, knowing that you're further away from your defenders, who are the ones in the best position to read the play. Most managers don't go for a striker as captain. But as we saw with Emery, he said he'd like to have 5 captains in his team at any given point. And I think even Mourinho had the same strategy in Man United. Now, a lot of the times it can create conflict, but if players buy into what you're trying to do as a manager and the leaders are there to shuffle and guide them into that path of thinking, then it can work out.
Well, so we expect we'll give you regular updates on the Super Eagles and the camp in Tangier, Morocco. As they come in, we'll let you know who's in and who's not coming at all. In the English Premier League, too many things happened. And yes, as we expected, as we said on the show, on Plus Sports Special, Man U did lose to Man City. But will only be sacked? We don't know. Maybe not yet, but time will tell. Liverpool got their unbeaten run ended. Okay, so Man United, Man City, 2-0. Man U lost at home to Man City. Chelsea, a scrappy win against Burnley, 1-0.
A draw, actually.
A draw.
Yes, I felt that...
obviously, Lukaku's space is obvious.
Yes. Unfortunately, the way Chelsea play right now, it has a lot of fluidity without Lukaku on the pitch, but it also means you have less killer instinct in front of the goal, which is what a striker provides you. And if he had been on the pitch on the day, I would expect that those Burnley defenders would have had a handful to deal with. Unfortunately, I always worry that when a team goes up to 70th minute with just one goal on the board, there's always a chance.
Anything could happen.
Yes.
Now, West Ham are surprising the world. Leicester did something close to this at a point. They were gradually climbing, beating the hard hitters, and they won the league, and they surprised the world. No bookmaker ever gave Leicester a chance to win the league in the next 100 years.
Yes. West Ham's match against Liverpool and their rise and ascendancy the last 2 years kind of reminds me of the Tottenham project in 2005 under Harry Redknapp. As far as they went, you could see that there was a clear path. They wanted to play in Europe. And right now, West Ham are very ambitious enough that they want to play in Europe. And you can say that with the way they're playing, with the aggression they're displaying, the commitment and work ethics they're putting on display on the pitch, they have every right to be wanting to play in Europa and maybe even one day the Champions League.
Everybody thought with Antonio Conte in charge, we will see a different Tottenham. But well, their last match, it was goalless.
Well, Tottenham are still the same Tottenham, not because Antonio Conte hasn't done anything, but these are still the same set of players. There's a worry that some of these players don't even fit Conte's standard 3 at the back, 5 or 4 in the middle, and 2 or 3 up front. So really, we are in the early days. This is his second match in charge, his first Premier League game. This is how it starts. You build momentum. And Conte is very reminiscent of Mourinho.
At least he didn't lose.
Yes. I remember one dressing room conversation Mourinho had with his Chelsea team in his first spell when he first arrived. I'm not saying we have to win every game, but we cannot lose. That's the standard that Antonio Conte will set.
And of course, Leicester 1-1. Leeds hard fighting. Leicester still, for some reason, hot today, cold tomorrow.
Well, the truth is, any team that has spent a lot of time trying to catch up to the big boys or play a certain level of football, pacey, work ethic football that the likes of Liverpool, Manchester City, Chelsea, and even on good days, Man United play, trying to compete with these teams. We've seen that teams oftentimes come up against the wall. They hit that fatigue wall, and then they have to reshuffle, rework, retool their approach. Leicester City, the last 2 seasons, have done very well. This season, I think they're coming up against a realization that they still have a long way to go.
True.
And they need to do better than they've done in the past for them to ascend past that wall.
Freiburg, not a very popular team in the Bundesliga across the world, but definitely very popular in Germany.
They do have a history in
and they haven't lost. But I mean, they were going to lose to any team in the Bundesliga. It would be to Bayern Munich, and they did lose. Bayern Munich inflicted the first defeat of the Bundesliga season on Freiburg when they beat them 2-1 at the Allianz Arena. Now, Bayern took the lead in the first half through midfielder Leon Goretzka, before Robert Lewandowski doubled the advantage in the second half. Yannick Haber pulled a goal back in added time for Freiburg, but it was to be merely a reconciliation for the visitors who slipped to their first defeat in 11 games. The victory for Bayern sees them open up a 4-point gap over Borussia Dortmund at the top of the Bundesliga after the latter lost their game with RB Leipzig 2-1. You know, we had stories about Bayern Munich getting very old. The players are too old. They won't do well. And after a while, they don't do well for such a long time, and then bam, they're back again.
The truth is, Bayern Munich, the squad is by far superior to their closest rival in the Bundesliga.
That's Borussia Dortmund.
Yes. And there's more money, obviously, which is why every season, they can afford to make maybe a 40 to 60 million pound purchase without breaking the bank. They buy one player and that's good enough for the season. And because they oftentimes steal or buy a player from their rivals, they never have to worry. So even though they do very well in Europe, they play very good football in Champions League, they can stand against all the elites. They do have the very best players in their league, so it makes sense that they would be strong enough to face anyone in Europe.
Now Neymar reached his 400th career goal as Paris Saint-Germain held on to a 3-2 win away to Bordeaux and go 10 points clear at the summit of the French Le Championnat. The Brazilian struck twice in the first half with Kylian Mbappe, giving the visitors a 3-goal cushion with 30 minutes to play. A goal against the run of play from Albert Ellis and Mboye Niang's 93rd minute finish made for an exciting finish, but it was too little, too late for the hosts. Well, I guess Neymar and the rest of the crew, Kylian Mbappe, getting their groove back.
Yes, it's quite impressive that Neymar has reached 400 career goals. The fact that he's not an out-and-out striker by nature, and he is up against the likes of Messi and Ronaldo, who have basically destroyed charts. They've been playing at for over 15 years above the charts, anything anyone could ever imagine was possible in football. That said, I have to say that for a player who once upon a time was referred to as the heir to Messi and Ronaldo's throne, because maybe those pundits who said it thought that their reign would end maybe 5, maybe even 6 years ago. He's about 30 now, and he's nowhere near these players, how good they were. And even though now their stats have dropped, their form is not as at the peak that they were once upon a time. No one is referring to Neymar as potentially winning the Ballon d'Or next or being the best player in the world. But it is what it is, and Paris Saint-Germain are lucky to have him.
Yes. Well, Novak Djokovic has won a record-extending 6th Paris Masters title by avenging his US Open final defeat against Russian Daniil Medvedev with a 4-6, 6-3, 6-3 victory in Sunday's showpiece match. With a win, Djokovic secured his 37th Masters 1000th title, surpassing Rafael Nadal's record. The Serbian, who is guaranteed to secure the year-end world #1 spot for a record 7th time, needed time to adjust to break the world #2's sturdy defense, but was unstoppable once he found his opening. Yes, he's always said it in most interviews that he's been on, that he's not going to go down without a fight. He's not going to retire without making his dreams come true, his words, that is. And he's won his 6th title at the Paris Masters. He's gone ahead of Rafael Nadal, who I don't see winning any major before he retires finally anytime soon. Which means this guy could go away with this record.
Same for Rogers. It's interesting that for some of us who grew up believing that Roger Federer was the best,
invincible.
Yes, and then maybe Nadal came out of nowhere, and suddenly we had a different horse in the race.
Well, I grew up believing tennis players like John McEnroe, Andre Agassi. I never thought they were ever going to retire. I never thought it was going to be Anthony, but years have passed and people have come and gone, you know. So
the truth is, records are there to be broken, and whether it happens in the lifetime of the record breaker or long after he's gone, we have to just appreciate that they were there, they sparkled.
And they made their difference. Yeah.
Yes.
It did. Well, Mukael would want to hear this. I'm sure he would want to hear this. Saul Canelo Alvarez became the first, by the way, Mukael is a big fan, became first the undisputed world super middleweight champion after knocking out Caleb Plant in the 11th round of their bout in Las Vegas to unify the WBC, WBA, IBF, and WBO belts. Now, Alvarez, who is 31, came into the fight holding 3 168-pound titles, WBC, WBA, and WBO, while 29-year-old American Plant owned the IBF title. After the Mexican's left hook floored Plant, the American managed to beat the count and get back on his feet, only to be pummeled by a flurry of punches before he hit the canvas again, and the referee had to stop the fight. Alvarez celebrates wearing a golden crown and holding all 4 belts as a Russia's crowd of over 16,500 fans rose to their feet. Alvarez is the first Mexican and the 6th fighter overall to hold all 4 belts. Plant made so much noise, I didn't see him going down that easy. He went down, he got up, and he told the referee, I can still go on. Obviously, he couldn't go on anymore. But he told the referee, I can still go on. And he went straight to Alvarez. And Alvarez just 3 connects, and he was out.
He went as far as 11th round, so I would never judge a man as being less than capable after going 11 rounds with a world best like Canelo. Most of us, we've gotten in scraps on the playground, and it didn't take 11 rounds to find out who the winner was. Obviously, Canelo is a spirited fighter. He's faster, stronger, and technically he was more proficient on the night. Now, I was always worried that Plant was too much of an unknown compared to all of us who were fans.
Canelo Alvarez,
a known commodity. Alvarez's abilities were clear, just like this year.
And then the press conference, we showed it on Friday or Thursday on the show, and then it was all boos for Plant and hailings for Alvarez. He was the favorite, obviously.
Yes, the fact is all of that was just to feed into the atmospheric energy that was going on in the background. But on the night in the ring, the two men faced off, and I was impressed enough that both men kept their heads. They didn't let the past scuffles get in the way. They didn't gas out too quickly.
They were very professional.
Yes.
They don't like each other, we know that.
Yes.
But it didn't show in that match.
It didn't show. They were both technical. They were both strategic about how they went about what they did. But Canelo was the best before going in, and he's the best after the match.
Okay, maybe I'll leave you with Devin Booker, and of course he inspired the Phoenix Suns to a 1-2-1-1-1-7 win over Atlanta Hawks. I'll leave you with that. But quickly, Devin Booker, always inspiring these guys to actually do better. Single-handedly.
Yes. The fact is, when you have a coach who's able to do what he does for the team, it doesn't take much for you to see players go out there and give everything they have. It's the kind of management, kind of coaching we all hope for.
Thank you very much, Bukayo.
Thank you.
We'll leave you with the NBA, Phoenix Suns against Atlanta Hawks. Join us same time tomorrow, Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa. My name is Wally Scott. Like I always advise you at the end of every show, if not for anything, at least for your heart, do some sports.